Alright, now it's practice time. So let's discuss some more questions to get ourselves familiar with factorizing expressions with four terms. Alright, so let's start with the first question. Ax plus ay plus 3x plus 3y. So as we did earlier, we take these two into one team and these two into the other team. So now let's start factorizing. So the yellow team, a is the common factor, so we can take a out. And if I take a out of these two terms, what remains inside is x and y. So this is x plus y. And from the green team, I see plus 3 as a common factor, and what remains inside is again x plus y. So without much effort, we've got both the brackets the same. So now the third step is to take that bracket as a common factor outside. So from a times x plus y and 3 times x plus y, I see x plus y common. So I take x plus y outside. And if I take x plus y outside, what remains inside is a plus 3. And that's it. We have factorized. One more thing is that you don't need to always pair it the same way, like the first and second term together and the third and fourth term together. You can also try out different ways. So I'm going to try out by swapping the terms and see if I can, get the same result. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put ay here and 3x here, and I'm going to rewrite the question as ax plus 3x plus ay plus 3y. So you see what I did? I just swapped the terms 3x and ay, and I can do that because it's all addition and the order doesn't matter in addition. So it's still the same question, but I've just put in a different order. And now I'm going to pair these two together and these two together. So let's see how it works this time. So when I see the first group, I see x as a common factor, so I take x out, and what falls inside is a plus 3. Observe that in the previous method, I took a out because a was the common factor. But in this case, it's different because I changed the order. Now let's look at the second group, and we see y as a common factor. So I'm going to say plus y, and what falls inside is a plus 3. Regardless of the change in order, we still were able to get the brackets to be the same. So therefore, we can proceed to the third step where we take the bracket out common. So if I take a plus 3 out common, what goes into the other bracket is x and plus y, because they are the only terms left out. So x plus y. And the answer is a plus 3 times x plus y, which is the same answer as we got here. The only difference is the order changed. In the previous question, we got x plus y inside the bracket. This time, we've got a plus 3 inside the bracket. So even though you change the order, the answer is going to end up pretty much the same. All right, so let's go to the second question. Ax minus 8a plus 3x minus 24. So we do the same thing again. We pair up the first and the second term, and let's pair up the third and the fourth term together. Now let's factorize. The first pair has a in common, so I take a out, and what goes inside the bracket would be x and negative 8. X and negative 8. And from the second pair, I see plus 3 as common. Remember, 24 is a multiple of 3. So therefore, I can take plus 3 as common. If I take plus 3 as common, x is going to go inside the bracket from the first term, and negative 24 divided by 3, because 3 is a factor that I took outside, right? So negative 24 divided by 3 is negative 8, because 3 times negative 8 gives you negative 24. And we observe that again, we've got the brackets fine. So I can just take that bracket as the common factor outside, which is x minus 8 goes outside, and therefore what goes into the second bracket, a and plus 3. So that's a and plus 3, and that's it. Let's move on to the third problem. AK plus AL minus BK minus BL. And again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pair the first two terms, and we're going to pair the last two terms. From the first two terms, a is the common factor, so I take a out, and k plus l fall inside the bracket. And from the second term, now I know I should get k plus l as the second bracket. So if I need to get both k and l positive inside the bracket, I should take the negative outside. So I should not just take b out, I should take negative b out, negative b outside, and only then I get k plus l inside, because if you then expand and see, you will get minus b times k is minus bk, and minus b times plus l is minus bl, the same expression that we started with. Alright, so now since we've got both the brackets the same, we can take that bracket out as a common factor, and a minus b will go into the other bracket. Observe that in both these questions you can still switch, like I did in the first question, the positions of the second and the third term or any other two terms, and still end up with the same answer. So in the second question I can just move minus 8a here and plus 3x here, or maybe I can just try moving minus 24 to the front and ax to the end, and I'll let that as an experimentation for you guys. You guys can try and see if you still get the same answer every time. Great, let's go on to the fourth question. Y squared minus 7y minus 2y plus 14. Again, pairing the first two terms together and pairing the second two terms together, or the last two terms together. And in the first two terms, y is a common factor. I take y out, and the first term is y squared, so if I take one y out, there's another y inside. And then negative 7y is the second term, and from negative 7y, if I just take y out, then negative 7 will stay inside the brackets. And from the second one, now we have to keep in mind what our first bracket was, because that's what we need to recreate in the second one. And what we got in the first one was y minus 7, which means I have to make sure that the y is positive inside, which means I'll have to take the negative 2 outside. So we'll take the negative 2 outside, and if I do that, y is inside, that's positive, and I have positive 14. So if you factored negative 2 out, that's positive 14 divided by negative 2, which is negative 7. Now you can take that bracket as a common factor outside. Y minus 7 comes outside, and whatever that is remaining outside will be the second bracket, that is y and negative 2 together, so y minus 2. Alright, so now the fifth question, ax minus a minus x plus 1. Again, we'll do the same thing as usual. Ax minus a, that's the first pair, and minus x plus 1 is the second pair. Now if you observe the first pair, there is a as a common factor, so I can take a outside, and I will have x minus, if you take this a out when there is nothing, that means there is a 1, because ax minus a is the same as saying ax minus a times 1. So now if you were to take the a out, what remains is x minus 1, right? So that's x minus 1. And when we get to the second pair, we notice something. We don't have anything common. We just observe that first term is a negative x, second term is a positive 1, so there is nothing common. But our idea is to make the second bracket the same as the first bracket, and the first bracket is x minus 1. So if I need to get an x minus 1 on the second bracket, what I need to take out is a negative 1. Because if you take a negative 1, which is the negative sign, out within the bracket, the first term, negative x, you've already taken the negative 1 out, that's just x. Because remember, negative x is just negative 1 times x. So if you took the negative 1 out, what remains is just x. And then we have positive 1, and positive 1 can be written as negative 1 times negative 1, right? Because negative into negative is positive. So if you take one negative 1 out, there is still another negative 1. So that's another negative 1, and now we have both the brackets the same. Now we can take that bracket as the common bracket outside, x minus 1, and then whatever that remains outside, a and negative 1 will form the second bracket, a and negative 1. Now we've come to the very final question in this video, and that will be the sixth question. So let's write down the sixth question. So sixth question says 2x squared plus x plus 6x plus 3. We're not going to do anything new. The same technique, first term and second term put together, and the third and fourth put together. So if I put the first and second term, I can clearly see that 2x squared and x, and here when you say x, it's 1x, there's a coefficient 1, keep in mind. So if you take x out from 2x squared, 1x is gone out, so there'll still be another x, so that's 2x. And from plus 1x, if you take x out, that's just plus 1. Now in the second pair, we see 6x and 3, and we clearly know 6 and 3 have both 3 in common. So if I take 3 as a common factor outside, plus 3, from the first term what remains is a 2x, because 3 times 2 gives you 6. And from the second term, you've already taken the 3 outside, there is nothing left, which means that's a 1. So I take 2x plus 1 common outside, and then what will come inside the bracket is x plus 3, the values that are outside. And that is how factorization with 4 terms is done. Hope you understood the lesson and hope you found this useful. So if you like the video, hit the like button and subscribe for more similar videos. And please feel free to comment below if you have any questions or if you have any topics that you want me to discuss in my future videos. See you in the next one.